wait till I got home to do this reading after I got my hair cut, but you know, it still looks actually pretty good. This is 2 weeks old. You can still kind of see the lines. Kinda. The taper is gone though, but next time I'm on the screen, my hair will be cut. And yeah. So this is the early access full moon total lunar eclipse in Scorpio video. This is going to be going deep, okay? This is a deep kind of video. It's not a reading, but I will be touching on some astrological points. It'll be deeper than usual because Scorpio is a deep sign. Scorpio deals with the psyche, the deep shadow parts of ourselves that are hidden, the ugly parts of ourselves that most people are afraid to tap into. This eclipse is going to be tapping into it for us. We don't really got to do much work to bring it to the surface. So with that being said, let me look at my notes here. This is an early access video. If you're seeing this on YouTube, then it was on Patreon first. Everything I do for the most part is usually on Patreon first, like when I do these like other types of videos. But the thing to remember with this eclipse is that a part of your life is dying and being reborn. Wherever Scorpio falls in your houses, in your chart is where you are literally experiencing a death of some kind. Usually metaphorical, but we know death is a part of life and Scorpio is associated with death. So sometimes it can be a literal death. And that's not to scare you, but you know, we can't sit up here and pretend that life doesn't have death in it, you know? And so we have to look at it from a very realistic standpoint where death can mean death in so many different ways. But the moon is in fall in Scorpio. I'm a Scorpio moon. So the moon is in fall in Scorpio because it is uncomfortable in Scorpio. The moon is about our emotions. It's about the ebbs and flows of emotion, but Scorpio tends to harbor emotions. It wants to hold on to emotions. It obsesses over emotions, and emotions are meant to flow through us, not to be stored in our bodies. So wherever you have Scorpio energy is where you are like backed up, you know? So I do tend to have a lot of emotions that get clogged, and you know, I experience like emotional constipation where I let things build up and then over time it all comes out, and not in a good way, or it causes me pain because I'm holding on to these emotions or these feelings. And so like where you have Scorpio in your chart, and the eclipses conjunct the south node, because that's what eclipses also do, that means that there's some psychological things from your past that you've been kind of holding on to. You're backed up in some way. It has to be let out. Like you cannot like hold in, when you have to use the bathroom, you're not supposed to hold it in for a very, very long time. It causes issues in your body. It causes disease, illness. Same thing with your spiritual body, your mental, your emotional. You cannot hold these things in for years and years and think it's not coming out in the wrong ways, or it's never going to come out. It is, or it's just going to keep getting passed down from generation to generation. And yeah, so this is a time where the energy is going to be uncomfortable because we're seeing exactly where we are backed up. Where are we holding on to the shit that we don't need to hold on to? And it's in our bodies, it's in our lives, it's in our mind, in our hearts, and our souls. We need to let it out. We need to get it out. So with this moon, this is teaching us how to be fully accountable for our own healing. We are not going to sit up here and play the blame game. We're not doing it. And so, you know, I'm going to be a little bit harsher on you in this video because sometimes that's the only way you will learn, is if you hear the harsh truth, the extremes. Scorpio deals with extremes. Pluto deals with extremes. And so, you know, Scorpio can bring out the worst case scenario of a situation, because sometimes that is the only way that you will wake up and do something different. When you are coddled, when your hand is held every step of the way, when you never go through a major, you know, shakeup, a breakthrough, a trial or setback, then you'll stay stuck. You'll stay stuck in your ways. You won't dive deep into yourself. You won't figure out how you need to change because you're comfortable. Scorpio doesn't care about comfort at all. Comfort is going out the window with us right now. So, you know, this is occurring starting on May 15th to the 16th, depending on your time zone, Sunday to Monday. Couldn't care less about your comfort. Comfort has left you complacent. It's left you enabling bad behavior. It's made you stay stagnant in your life. It's time to transform now. It's time to understand that there are things that you have become too comfortable with in yourself, in your life, in your behaviors that are holding you back and will not allow you to be the person that you've always been called to be. I have this candle burning here. This is an abundance candle that I got from Etsy. So we're having some abundance coming towards us as well. You know, I should have made this a live stream on Patreon so I can like interact and like talk to you guys, but I'm already 6 minutes in and I'm not gonna. But what I will do is maybe, I don't know if I can, once it's I don't know if I can make it a premiere on YouTube for whenever I premiere it, but I do look forward to seeing y'all's comments on this video. But yes, we are taking full accountability for ourselves. You are not responsible for what has happened to you, for your trauma, for bad things, but you are responsible for your healing, what you do with that, how you let it affect you, how you let it come out, how you let it stop you from achieving your goals. So think of this energy for the Scorpio eclipse as a full reset. We are getting a fresh, clean slate. We're getting wiped clean. All the shit is coming out. So we can start fresh. There is something you've been holding on to. And a lot of this is going to be way less physical. It's way less about the physical. The physical stuff is Taurus. Scorpio is internal. So this is going to be all the things you're holding on to internally that are showing up that you need to release and let go of. Okay? So this is about psychologically releasing the shadow parts. Where does trauma lie within you in these areas of your life where Scorpio is? What have you been running from that is catching up to you now or is chaotic in your life? Scorpio, with the South Node in Scorpio, we're letting go of that chaotic way of being and living our lives on the edge and living our lives in these high roller coaster of emotions and living our lives in enmeshment, you know? No boundaries, no privacy. Just everything is just all or nothing stuck together. Where do we experience those things in our lives? Where can you let go of those lower vibrational emotions? I say that very loosely because all emotions are useful to some capacity. But, you know, regret, shame, guilt, anger, those really harsh emotions, where most of them we tend to deflect. Those are like a deflection of really dealing with our inner emotions. Like when you deal with anger, when you deal with envy, that is more so a projection of an insecurity within you that you're not addressing, especially envy. Whenever you're envious of somebody or you go straight to anger, you go straight to envy, there's something deeper within you that feels shame. You feel insecure, you feel scared. You're like, there's a fear or a limiting belief there that tells you that you cannot have what they have, that you're not good enough, that you're unworthy. And so then you create these scenarios, you create the story of those things and you project that outward because you're not dealing with the root of the insecurity. You're not dealing with the fact that you never got validation from your parents. Your parents invalidated you, that you wish you got more recognition. And so envy comes out because of those things that you yearned for, but you didn't get or you want. And you see somebody else getting it and you're the story in your head that's created is, I'm not good enough to receive those. I wasn't good enough to get that. That's why I didn't get it. And that's not true. So we're rewriting those stories and trying to figure out, where does these things come from? Where does every behavior I have, every reaction has a reason? Remember that. That's a Bronx quote. Every reaction has a reason. So don't just think you're out here just reacting for no reason. Don't just think you're out here just flying off the edge, the deep end. That is because there's things that are stored in your body, trauma stored in your body, things you have suppressed, you hold on to, and that's how it's coming out. In this anger, these bursts of rage, that's not normal. That's not healthy to be flying off the handle so easily. That shows that you need to learn how to decompress more often instead of, just shoving it down or ignoring it altogether. You need to learn how to feel your feelings. And Scorpio, moon in Scorpio, it has a very hard time. I have a hard time with that. I don't always know what I need. And it's in the 12th house. So it's like really repressed emotions. Like I always struggle with my feelings and not knowing how to express them most of the time. And unless it's anger or it's, irritation, anxiety. But this is a time where we're taking accountability for all that and we're diving deeper. We're trying to figure out, where does this start? Where did this come from? It didn't just magically come out of nowhere. Like, people are like, I've always been this way. Or they say, I wasn't always this way. Do you ever stop and wonder why you became that way then? Like, it didn't just come out of nowhere. Like, where did this start? So this is where we're really going to go within ourselves and figure out, why do I act like this? Why do I do these things? How can I fix these things? Where does this come from? Why do I have trauma? Why? We're asking ourselves the why questions right now. To get to the what do I need to do? You have to understand why and where. Okay, they all work together. Many people, they come to me asking for readings. They're like, what do I do? What do I do? What can I expect? They completely skip over the why and where. How did we get here? Where did this start? Why is this happening? What role do I play in it? Most people just want to know, how can I get somebody else to do this? What are they going to do? What are somebody else's next actions? Instead of trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to change? What do I need to do for myself? Why do I think this way? Why do I react this way? And so it's going to be less about other people right now and more about ourselves. In order to have the outcomes you want with others, you have to first have a certain way of being with yourself. You have to figure out your own stuff. So we're really taking care of our own stuff. Now, if you're working through these issues right now, you're trying to figure out how to heal yourself, you're seeing where your trauma stem, the role you played in staying in relationships or staying in toxic environments, staying places where you have the ability to be free, but you continue to hold on to that chaos. Once you're really getting into that work, by the next eclipse in Scorpio and Taurus, by October and November, you are going to be in a completely different space. But that is only if right now you say, I have played a part in enabling this bad behavior, in enabling my own stagnancy, my own self-sabotage, my own breakups, my own reactivity. I am the problem in some way, shape, or form. You are not always a victim. I promise you're not. Not in every single scenario. There are some things that you have, yes, been a victim to in your life. We all have. But we are also all not innocent either. Okay? So once you can realize that it's not black and white. Like, some people think either you're good or you're bad. And that's the mentality we're letting go of. Either you're good or you're bad. Your life is perfect or it's horrible. Black and white mentality is these extremes of Scorpio, that you're either successful or you're broke and you're a failure. No, there's so many different ranges and colors that we all have in our lives. And for many of us, wherever Scorpio is in your chart is where you tend to see yourself or see others or see your circumstances in extreme ways, black or white. So, I have Scorpio in my first house, and with extremes of seeing yourself in either you're amazing or you hate yourself, stuff like that. Or your, second house, you're poor or you're rich. Third house, that you're a genius or you're stupid. I could go on. And we'll get into that in a moment here. But we need to release those extremes of seeing ourselves and other people. and look at all the range of depth in emotions, in circumstances, in ability to exist. It's not just a black or white thing. So do this work now. Start doing it right now. Do your shadow work. Look up shadow work prompts on Google and start to dig deeper so you can fix yourself. You can heal yourself. You can heal the trauma. You can break generational curses. You're not meant to live in this turmoil. Turmoil and suffering are optional. And I've talked about this in a video on TikTok. Suffering is optional. Scorpio, this energy right now with the eclipse is showing us that the suffering that we've had and we've held on to is very much optional. We chose to hold on to that suffering. We chose to hang on to the pain and reliving the trauma over and over. Some of us don't even know how to get rid of it. And for some, you need help. You need therapy. You need to talk to people. Join a support group on Facebook. I've joined many because I have OCD. And recently I discovered that I also had symptoms of BPD, borderline personality disorder. So for me, I'm getting back into therapy, trying to figure it out, trying to see how I can work with these feelings. And BPD, if you have any type of like anxiety disorders, they most likely overlap. Some people have like, bipolar and ADHD, autistic, anxiety, OCD, whatever, they all overlap. And I really resonate with BPD, these feelings of rage, struggling with rejection, abandonment, in very extreme ways. So discovering that, it's been, eye-opening experience. But all that to say is that there is options out there for support. And if you don't have the money, you can join one of those groups and get more knowledge. You can start somewhere. You can start researching. You don't have to wait for anybody to tell you to start to fix your life. Okay, start doing that work now so you don't have to suffer in silence and you don't have to do it by yourself. Okay? So yeah, you'll see a major rebirth by October. This is the death process. The rebirth will commence by October. And you'll feel alive again. So now we're kind of going to get into the signs here. And look up your chart. Look up whole signs for your eclipses to know like where Scorpio is in your chart. A lot of people say, oh, I don't know where Scorpio falls in my charts. I don't see it. I don't see it in my houses. You have to look at your whole signs, houses. So look up whole signs house system and then put in all your information. Or, start with your rising sign and then count until you get to Scorpio, whatever number that is. So like, Taurus rising, you count to Scorpio, that's 7 signs, 7th house, Scorpio. But I'll also go through, if you have whatever rising sign, where Scorpio is going to be for you. So let's go. First house, Scorpio, that's your psychological self, okay? That's your body. That is who you are. So there is something about you, if you have a Scorpio first house. If you don't know your rising sign, just focus on, you can apply this to your sun sign, whatever sun sign it is. But Scorpio first house, your psychological body, your physical body, something about the way that you viewed yourself or a belief you've had about yourself needs to die. Whatever that looks like for you, it has to go away. This is a time where you are going to be fully accepting yourself, fully accepting your flaws, your shadow side, your ugliness, your truth, whatever it is that has held you back for so long, like where you just rejected that part of you. And this could be a time where some of you are coming more into yourselves or your identity, your sexuality, especially sexual energy. Scorpio deals with that. But like, where do you need to accept yourself, or where do you need to let go of this idea about yourself that is causing you pain? Like about accepting yourself, about expressing yourself, understanding yourself, not rejecting yourself. So anything about yourself, there's something that's shedding so that you can really be the person that you want to be, but you're afraid to be that, right? So that's Scorpio rising. Scorpio affecting your first house, your physical body, and yourself. Now, if you're a Libra rising, that means Scorpio would be in your second house. So, what toxic habits or toxic mentalities do you have around money, right? The obsession with money to define your self-worth. like the material world. Some of you have maybe were poor. You struggled with money and finances, and you feel like you need money in order to feel worthy of love, of success, of fame, of recognition. You don't need money to, that doesn't make you, that's not what makes you beautiful and worthy of things. So there's been an unhealthy relationship with the money or with your self-worth and the material world, where you've been tying them together, thinking if the more material stuff I have, the more I love myself. And it's not until money is ripped away from you where all you have left is you. So some of you, you know, you could have struggled with going through this setback with money, or it's making you feel very unworthy because you don't have money right now. But you need to release that mental identity surrounding the money that you have or the things that you have, and feeling like this is what makes me a good person, or this is what shows that I am amazing. No, there's something obsessive about that that needs to die, so you can really see what is real self-worth. What does it mean to really feel good just being you, and the money is just a bonus. So if you have a Virgo rising, then this is happening in your third house of the mind and communication. So this is releasing anything about your communication that you feel like you've held back so long. You've had to not speak up for yourself, where you feel stupid by talking. You feel like people don't hear you. You feel like you shouldn't say anything because, you know, you're gonna be dumb, whatever. Or for some of you, comparing yourself with your siblings. Could be a toxic kind of relationship with siblings, or the hometown you grew up in, groups of people that you were associating yourself with. You need to let go of those blockages in your mind. There's a lot of like mental stuff that's holding you back about like who you are, what you deserve. Could be like, you know, mental health that holds you back, or you identify with your mental illnesses too much, and you feel like that makes you a bad person. But you have to break up with this toxic relationship you have around the way you think about yourself, the way that your mind, you know, creates these scenarios, these stories about you, and like the ways you're not supposed to communicate, feeling like you have to restrict communication within yourself, that you cannot express your ideas, that you cannot be curious. Maybe you were told you asked too many questions from a young age. No, you have to let go of the obsession about saying the wrong thing, and just speak from your heart. Speak your truth, okay? Leo rising. If you have a Leo rising, this is happening in your fourth house. So this could be a little bit deep intention of the home life. All right. So this is really releasing this trauma that came from your childhood. You cannot run from that. You cannot. You know, if you have a family history of addiction, abuse, you've suffered abuse, sexual abuse especially, and you tried to shove it down, but you see the way it makes you how you are, could make you a very hypersexual person, or, you know, you really get triggered by sex, and, you know, because of like trauma that's been passed down, family history. A family history of enmeshment is very likely right now as well for Leo, where you realize that your family was very invasive, lack of privacy, lack of boundaries, and you need to let that go. You need to let that go. You need to really understand where the family trauma started, and it needs to end with you. And you're not responsible for what happened to you, but you're responsible for what happens after you. All right? If you don't do your job now, it's going to continue on. And you know, life is not all about us, guys. I should probably repeat this again at the end so everybody can see that life is not all about you. Life is about how you affect other people. All of us need each other. We all affect each other in some way, you know? We help each other get to where we need to be. And so help your bloodline, help your future generations, your children, so they don't have to deal with this repeating cycle of abuse, neglect, abandonment, rejection, addiction, whatever. Leo, you're responsible right now. You have to let it go. You have to remove yourself from it. You have to detach from it. You have to stop carrying that shame, Stop carrying that guilt. It's not yours to carry. Okay. 5th house, Cancer. Cancer rising. If you are a Cancer rising, you could be releasing some blockages around your sexuality as well, releasing blockages around your dating life and your creativity. Many of you have this like obsession with, it could go either way. Either you're obsessed with being recognized and validated and seen, or you have so much shame surrounding expressing your creative energy, expressing your sexuality, your lighthearted energy. And so you've suppressed that. You need to really let go of that obsessiveness about how other people see you or shining or being in the spotlight. It's your time to shine and let go of the restrictions that your body tells you you cannot be out there. You're too much, you're too loud, you're too this, you're too that. No, you need to take up more space. Break up with the relationship that you are afraid, like you really downsize yourself, you hide. You're like, I don't want to be seen because I don't want anybody to get annoyed or whatever. No, that is all fear-based. Let it go. Let it go. Gemini rising, 6th house. So your work, your health, your daily life, your daily routines. Some of you really need to release something surrounding, it could be your work life. This could be obsessiveness with your routines, obsessiveness with work, filling your days with lots of busy work and busyness. Instead of taking some time to pause, reflect, rest, you escape through your work. You escape through your routines. You always want to keep busy. You always want to do something. And for many of you, you have to allow yourself to just be still, to relax, to reflect, to allow answers to come to you throughout your day. Or you've had a pressure in your life that's told you that if you're not always working, then you're not doing anything, that you're nothing, that you're a failure. Maybe you learned that behavior from your parents. And so you have to be careful about making yourself sick because you're working so much. You don't need to be working 24/7 in order to be successful, in order to be something. Or having this obsession with working on yourself, obsession with healing yourself. Where do you have an unhealthy attachment to work that it defines you? Okay. Now, 7th house, Taurus. The eclipse happening in your 7th house, Taurus risings. This is any unhealthy relationship you have, period. Any relationship that you've attached your worth to. If you tend to be in codependent relationships, you have to look at like your relationship with your parents. You have to look at the relationship with your parents and say, what was my relationship like with my dad or my mom? How do I mimic and repeat those relationships with other people? Some of us, we look for our dads and our boyfriends, our husbands. We look for our moms and our girlfriends, whoever. And, is that something that's good for you, though? So there's some codependency here. There's obsession here in your relationships and being obsessive about having a partnership that we need to really work on. Or being in relationships that are not intimate, but they are enmeshed. That means that there's a lack of individuality, a lack of privacy, a lack of separation. We are our partners. Our partners are us. And you have to really get to the root of that. Like, where does that come from? Is that what you saw as an example of relationships, is being enmeshed? Look up enmeshment and look up examples. There's so many. It's like, you have to be thinking the same thing at the same time. You have to always be together. You have to be super close. You don't have any separation between you two. There's no you and me. It's just us. There is no you. There is no me. It's just, we're all together. And if your relationships are like that, either because you didn't have any type of intimacy or there was too much closeness, then, you're likely going to always associate you with your partner. You are somebody different from your partner. So you cannot say, oh, I've been with this person for X amount of years. We're together. I don't know who I am without them. That's not good. That means you clearly let yourself go from the beginning with this person. You made them your identity. You need to take back your identity away from this person and really understand that you are not somebody else because you've been with them or you're with them for a long time. Aries, rising, 8th house. 8th house, you have to really work through those blockages with intimacy with other people. So the main ones that really got to work through these sexual traumas are really like 4th house, Leo, Aries, 8th house, and Cancer. So yeah, there can be like some issues here with being obsessive about sexuality, obsessive about intimacy, or you have these really strong blockages surrounding that where you feel uncomfortable letting people in, you feel uncomfortable letting people help you. And that is something that you really have to release and get rid of, because 8th house energies are all about other people's resources. It's about like merging. It's about bringing energy into your life and being able to work with it. So if you have any type of sexual energy blockages, you're not comfortable being sexual, you're not happy with your sexuality, you reject your sexuality, your sexual nature, your creative energy, you got to really tap in and ask yourself, where did that come from? Where did that start? Why do I reject that in my life? Where can I be more intimate? Where can I allow more intimacy in? Where can I be more trusting? Why do I do this? Why do I reject those things? Pisces. Pisces rising is happening in your 9th house of beliefs, your spirituality, teaching, long distance travel. Many of you have obsessiveness either about truth, like you're so obsessed with finding out what is the truth, like, or I always need to be going to the next level, the grass is greener syndrome, and that you're not happy right where you are. So there has to be a releasing of obsession about always thinking you need to be somewhere else, always thinking you need to be further ahead. You're racing against time. There needs to be releasing of beliefs that were planted into you by your parents, by your caregivers, by people that told you what to believe in. There is a belief system that has been projected onto you by, a family member, by somebody. It's changed your warped your perception. And it's like, you have to let that go. Something that somebody else believed in, you don't necessarily believe in it, and you've held on to that belief, or something somebody has told you about yourself, you made that your truth. So you really need to dive in and say, is this my truth? Do I believe in this? Or did somebody else project this belief onto me and I just adopted it? If that is the case, then you need to let that go and figure out what truth looks like for you, not what somebody else told you it should look like. Aquarius rising, this is happening in your 10th house of career and reputation. There is an obsession surrounding your career as well, just like Gemini. There's an obsession around your career and what success is tied into. So the air signs, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, there's a lot of obsession around career right now in the material world and money. But there's an unhealthy relationship to status, money, to reputation that you need to break up with. Feeling like if you're not constantly achieving things, then you're failing. Maybe there was a lot of pressure on you from a caregiver or someone that told you that you always had to be doing something. You always got to work. You always got to be climb to the next level. There's always more work to do, that you can't even stop to give yourself any type of praise. That, no, you got to keep going, keep going, keep going. And so there is obsession there about your career, about status, about fame, about what you're doing in your life. You feel like you're behind. Or there is like a guilt or a shame that takes over you when you want to work on your career, when you want to be more in the spotlight, you want these things for yourself, but something about you rejects that, and you're like, I can't be too seen. Similar to Cancer, I can't be out there too much, feeling guilty for taking up space. But this will really help you when you tap into that opposite sign energy of Leo, where you are shining, you shine unapologetically. So there is some shame, some obsession surrounding your status, your career. Either you're too obsessed with status and using that to define you as a person, or you're not diving deep enough into your career and taking up the space that you deserve, asking for more because you deserve it, because you are worthy. You are worthy outside of your achievements, outside of your accomplishments. Okay, you are worthy of good luck. You're worthy of praise, shine, attention. So there's, there's issues there with that you need to really release the obsession surrounding your reputation and your career. Capricorn 11th house. Okay, Capricorn rising. Scorpio's in your 11th house. Friendships, social media, networks, letting go of this obsession about not fitting into a group, right? Some of you have this obsessive way of looking at your friendships. And for some of you, it's like you're not looking at friendships as like a partnership. You're looking at it as groupthink. Like, we need to always be enmeshed, one accord, one band, one sound. And that's not how friendships work. So there could be some black or white thinking in your friendships about how they should be. And that might not actually be the best option. There needs to be more individualism in the friendships, in the groups. Like, 11th house is Aquarius. So it is like we are all individuals in a group. Individuality is what Aquarius corresponds to. So where have you, tried to make your friendships more than what they are, as far as like being your parents, or, being too enmeshed with you, and there's not enough boundaries, there's not any clear separation between you guys, okay? So there needs to be more thinking about that. And also just the way that you show up in friendships, like where you have a lack of trust of people. And so when you have a lack of trust in people, you want to control people. You want them to you want to know exactly their moves, everything that they're going to do and say, which is not possible. So there could be some control issues in your friend groups, or in groups in general, that you need to really work through and understand where that comes from within you. Now, Sagittarius risings with the 12th house energy, this can be a really tough time for you, especially because it's in your 12th house, Scorpio 12th house, and a lot of past trauma. Past trauma, you could be dreaming about trauma that you've experienced a long time ago, or you have this is a very karmic time for you, where things from the past come back, or people from the past come back into your life, trying to get closure, or you need to get some closure from some people from your past. And that's the only way you're going to really find your way out of it. I was trying to put out my candle, but it didn't work. Nope, not working. But so there could be a lot of like addiction that comes back to the surface, victim mentality, isolation. But you really have to look at your own internal struggles and where you were projecting those internal battles, those internal fears, the tough situations onto other people. And it really caused for the downfall of relationships, or, where were your own karmic lessons that you were supposed to break. And, just a lot of mental stuff. Breaking up with these mental thoughts and these mental patterns that you have, these beliefs, these subconscious beliefs, really, the hidden stuff. So you're going to have to dig a lot deeper, because most of this is like buried in there. And you got to go way, way, way deep down. I would definitely say the fire signs, Leo, Aries, and Sagittarius. This could be a very deep, deep time for you, with the Scorpio energy hitting your water houses, the fire rising signs mainly. But it's going to be a little challenging, because you're going to have to really go deep. You're going to have to ask yourself, this trauma comes from way before me. and you don't want it to continue. These addictions come way before me, and you know, it doesn't just magically skip us most of the time. So you have to ask yourself, where do I even start with this? I have a problem. I have an issue here. How do I restructure this and get my life together? Okay, so that's all the Scorpio energy. What's coming up with Scorpio rising to Sagittarius rising. Again, if you don't have your rising sign, apply it to your sun sign. And yeah, Scorpio, we need to have some better boundaries, some lines that we know this is this, this is this. We do not have to be one in order to be close. We need to take accountability. We need to look at what, you know, my trauma is not your trauma. We should not be trauma bonding. We're breaking a lot of trauma bonds right now, guys. So where do you have trauma bonds with people that you need to really break up with the, wherever you have Scorpios, like where you experience trauma bonds with others, trauma bonds with money, with family, with friends, with sexuality, you know, with intimacy, with yourself. You can have a trauma bond with yourself. I don't know how, but you can. So that's what we need to focus on, guys. And let me know in the comments how you really resonated with this reading. And I look forward to hearing like where you experienced this energy and how it resonates for you. All right, so thank you all for watching. I'm at Tarot by Bronx.